Hello, and thank you for joining me on the ADM YouTube channel, where today I have the pleasure of introducing to you a new winter wheat with a BYDV trait and also a potential Group 2. So the variety that I have today to bring to you is RGT Goldfinch from the RAGT plant breeding program. And RGT Goldfinch you will have seen in trials up to now under the code number 42109. So RGT Goldfinch is from the Genstress program. Now the Genstress program is breeding traits into normal bulk standard winter wheats. And the first trait that's come through with a strong backing is the BYDV tolerance and BYDV resistance. So if we take a detailed look at Goldfinch, the agronomy strengths of Goldfinch, as you can see, are quite clear. It's got a very, very strong disease program with all the mildews, brown rust septorias, and of course, the big bonus on this one, it's got orange wheat blossomage resistance, and it's also got the BYDV resistance. I know the eagle-eyed eyes amongst you will be looking at the grain quality with it being a Group 2, but please be aware that those figures that are shown there are for the variety performance in a normal feed wheat trial where it's had all its sprays and all the insecticides. So if we look at it where you actually grow Goldfinch under a milling wheat regime, and you start talking the pure quality of the variety, you see it's got Pacific weight 78.2, protein of 13.3, and Hagberg 3.86. Now that data has come from the RAGT own trials from their inoculated trial system. So if you start looking at the yield factor, because yield's important to everybody, in a bulk standard feed wheat regime system, which is where it gets its full fungicide and its full insecticide programs, you'll see that Goldfinch is outperformed by the market leaders, which is X-Tays and Skyfall in this particular sector. And that is because obviously there is a dilution between yield and the BYDV, which is shown on the next slide. So when you actually get an inoculated trial, so when the aphid is actually put into the trial, you can see that the BYDV infection starts to spread through the trial, and you can see how then Goldfinch performs at the end of the trial because of its tolerance and resistance to that BYDV trait. So as you can see on the left-hand side, that's its actual yield figure against Skyfall and X-Tays, and on the right, it shows you the difference between the tonnages. So if we look a little bit closer to the BYDV control and the use of pyrethroids, so I think the two key things here for me are very, very, very obvious, and that is the longevity of the protection period. So if you're using a pyrethroid spray, you've got a 1 to 7 day period. If you've got the Genstress gene within the product, you've got 24/7 season long coverage. And also, if you look at the aphid resistance and you start looking at weather dependency, so you're very, very dependent on being able to get onto the crop with the pyrethroid sprayed, with Genstress because of its breeding, it's already sitting there and it's active right the way through the growing period. So the key points to remember on this one is an excellent baking quality up to date from the UKFM Class 2 group. And this data is from the NL2 trials. So the variety's been in trials a couple of years under testing. It is a provisional Group 2, please bear that in mind. But the key points to this is you've got the orange wheat blossomage, you've got the BYDV resistance, and you've got potential for the insecticide-free milling wheat and a very, very strong agronomic package. So the key points of Goldfinch, as we can see them, and we hope that you can too, is you've got BYD resistance coming from the Genstress breeding program. You've got the first Group 2 variety coming to the market with actual BYDV resistance. You've got yield, which exceeds the current market leaders, which is obviously KWS X-Tays, but that is in the BYDV trials. And of course, with it being a BYDV resistant variety, you've got suitability to the SFI scheme on the IPM4 scheme, which entitles you to £45 a hectare. If you don't use the insecticides, of course, and you've got orange blossom meach resistance. Now, don't forget, there is only a very, very small tonnage of this variety available this year as it's come out of NL2, And please contact your ADM farm trader for further details on the variety if you require it, on the pricing structures, and also the exciting buyback contract which we've got agreed, which is on offer to you to go into ADM mills. Thank you for your time this morning, and I wish you a safe and successful harvest.